thank you very much for joining me today, Saskia. I'm really looking forward to our conversation about how you bring kindness into your business, and particularly for yourself as a leader of that business, how kindness shows up. So could you start by just giving us a bit of an intro to yourself and your role as a leader?
Yeah. So my name is Saskia Roskam, and I co-founded a business called the Biskery, and we focus on baking personalized and branded biscuits. They're biscuits that need to kind of just go beyond, oh, they taste nice. We want them to have impact on the people who receive them as gifts. So it's not like stuff your face with them, but it's like very intentionally gifting. That's the business that I run on a day-to-day basis, to make people happy, really.
Fantastic. I mean, making people happy with biscuits, I think that's great. I love that distinction as well, that it's very intentional gifting. I think that's brilliant. And I've seen that, myself in the work that you do. So yeah, you mentioned that obviously you're the co-founder of the business, you're a leader of the business. How do you define kindness? What does kindness mean to you?
I think for a long time, a very long time actually, I thought kindness was being nice. And it's almost, I'm ashamed to say, a recent discovery, relatively recent, that's actually not the same thing at all. And so I think being kind is being considerate. It is switching perspectives to me often. So we have a viewpoint from our own framework and judge it often from that point of view. And I think having the flexibility to change perspectives allows you to show up with more kindness and consideration. And I think kindness is a long-term mission understanding of a situation, where I think being nice is very short term. You want something to go away immediately, or you know what I mean? So I think that's how I have come to define kindness. And so yeah, whilst a lot of people just think it's do the nice thing, sometimes to be kind you have to do something that feels in the moment unkind. But I think in the longer term, when you really think about it, it is actually the better thing to do.
Yeah, that's so true, isn't it? That it's being kind isn't always the easy option. Particularly as a leader, you can have to have quite difficult conversations, but you can do it with kindness. So
Yes.
I always think it's very interesting as well. I'm asking people that I'm talking to, how would you define kindness? Genuinely isn't a trick question. There's no single definition either. It means something slightly different to all of us, or kind of nuances to all of us. So I think it's always interesting to explore with individuals, what does it mean to you? So how do you demonstrate kindness in your role as a leader? And particularly, I'm interested to explore kind of what difference you think that makes to the people in your teams when you're leading with kindness.
Again, I think I would go back to that perspective piece, and the only way you can really get someone else's perspective is by asking them and not assuming. So I think in leadership with your team, you have to have conversation. You have to go a little bit deeper beyond service level answers, and really probe and test to understand where a person is coming from and what they're looking for, what they want, what they need. Because sometimes people might not want to say outrightly what it is that they need or want particularly, and in a longer conversation it might arise. And I think kindness is taking the time to listen, and see how you can work with what it is that they want and need, even if it's not necessarily what you want and need. I think.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I mean, is without giving sort of specifics, I mean, is that something in terms of that kind of different perspectives, perhaps between what you as a leader need and what people need in your teams? I mean, is that something that you give that time to explore if things like that arise?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely like to think so. And in our business, Lisa and I, my co-founder, we continually say to our team, if you need anything, if anything isn't going to plan, or if you need something that we're currently not providing, literally anything, because we can only dream up what we can.
Yeah.
I don't really know what goes on in your day-to-day life, or I don't really perform your role, so I don't know what crops up again and again and again.
Uh-huh.
But I hope that you can talk to us, explain it, and then we can see how we can resolve it. So that's definitely how we try and operate with
Yeah.
our team. But it is creating that atmosphere where people feel comfortable to do so. And it's quite
Yeah.
funny because I never thought, that I'd be in a position of leadership. It's very accidental, so I've had to grow in, and I'm still growing into
Yeah.
this space. Um, but I do understand that people might feel apprehension to go to what they would call the boss, I
Right.
guess, which to
Yeah.
me is like, and
Yeah.
I that yeah, that makes me uncomfortable sometimes, that they would think that they couldn't do that. But I really hope that they do know that.
Yeah. And that's really interesting, isn't it? Because actually, like you say, you're still you. You're the boss.
Yeah,
You're still you. So yeah, I think I love what you said about listening to the people that are doing the job day to day, because they see it every day. So
yeah,
they can pick up things, see things that perhaps you don't notice because you're doing something else. So yeah,
exactly.
really
And
interesting.
and unless they tell me, I can't fix it or make it better, or
Yeah.
approach them in a way that says, I hear you, and
Yeah.
I see you, and
Yeah.
let's try and find a way that works moving forward.
Yeah. That's fantastic. What would you say to leaders who perhaps are a bit nervous about doing what you do, in the sense of, they're a bit nervous about leading with kindness, and they perhaps worry that it will make them seem weak or not like they're a proper leader? What would you
Mm,
say to those sorts of people?
oof, that is a hard question, actually. Um, because I think it must feel very dangerous to soften if you have never done it.
Uh-huh.
Um, and perhaps if you, if you are someone who finds that really hard, but is something that you want to infuse in your business, if you know that currently you might not be the right person to do it, is to maybe start with somebody else in the team who could, and
Yeah.
see how that works, how the rest of
Uh-huh.
the team responds to that. And
Yeah.
because I think for people who don't know how to do it and who've never done it and for whom it is so alien, um, it is such a learning curve. And I think
Yeah.
perhaps, you can use the guidance of someone to whom it comes more natural.
Yeah. That's a great idea, because like you say, sometimes you're not in a position yourself yet, but if
Yeah,
there will be people around you, or somewhere you'll be able to see people who are leading with kindness, so there will be
yeah,
examples for you to learn from, like you said, see how that works. Um,
yeah,
that's great advice. Yeah, because lots of leaders, like you said, find themselves in that position without perhaps having thought they would, and then you've got to learn it as you go. So being kind to yourself
yeah.
is important too, I guess.
And like you said before we started the call, it's like so many podcasts out there speak about a certain kind of leadership, and if that is what you are fed with, and you see repeatedly, maybe the bosses that you've previously had, you know, that you want to model yourself to were like that. It's really hard to break the mold
Yeah.
if you can't see the other side and you don't know how the other side feels. It can feel so, I guess, icky.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And yeah, and I have to say that's exactly why I really appreciate you taking the time today to talk to me about how you're leading, because you have a successful business that you're leading with kindness as well. It's, you know, it's proof that it works. So it's
Yes.
great to have stories like yours to share with people so that we can try and counter some of those icky stories that people are getting. So yeah, thank you very much for your time today. I really appreciate it.
No worries. My pleasure.
Thank you.